No life has its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face to an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing.
Hello, welcome to The Awakening. I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion is going to be a rough one, and I hope every man and woman out there will sit down and watch the show. It's called child support, and child support is your responsibility. You have a child, you make that baby, you don't wear a condom, so you take a chance and you bring a baby into the world, and you expect that child to work as a child to take care of itself. So wake up, stand up, and watch this show. Welcome, Rowena, to my show again. You're getting to be a favorite special around here. Well, we're going to talk about child support, and it's a very touchy subject, but it's a very needed subject for children. So you've sent me some great questions. What do you do where the other parent is? How do you get your money if there's the other parent that's not around to give it to you? How do you find him? How do you get the money?
Several ways you can do this. If you have enough resources on your own, you could hire a private investigator, try and find.
That costs a lot of money.
That might cost a lot of money. The average parent might not have that type of money. If they do, they probably wouldn't be trying to get the child support anyway. But that is one option. You could hire a private investigator, try and locate the mother or the father, and then try to serve them that way. If you've done that, if you've done your little Google search and your other find a person search on the internet, you're not able to locate them, you've talked to relatives, old coworkers, things like neighbors, and no one is able.
Check old phone numbers.
Right, old phone numbers. That's not pulling anything up. You can go to the Office of Child Support Enforcement.
Is that in Washington, D.C.?
There's one in Prince George's County in Temple Hills.
Okay.
And you can fill out the necessary paperwork, let them know you are applying for child support. You'd like a case established, but you're having some problems locating the other party. They will do their best. They have their resources. They will try and locate the other party.
Okay, let's back up for a minute. Let's just say that we're married. This question, we're married. We have a good relationship in the beginning. We have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 children. Everything, you're acclimated, you're happy, you got a happy little home life, everything goes well. But then one day it turns into divorce. That's when it turns ugly, doesn't it?
Correct.
That turns ugly. So if they walk out on you, well, if you go to court and a judge gives you a certain amount of money, say you're going to be, I don't know, $200 a week for each child, or $200 a week for one child, whatever. I guess they go by the money you make. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So then that's where the nastiness comes in, right? I mean, you've had a loving husband, and all of a sudden maybe he's gone out on the side and had a little fling. He's got a girlfriend on the side. Could be having 2 or 3 more kids with her.
Right.
And then he has 4 or 5 or 6 of his own. Let's say even one. One is too many. So then what do? That's where I should have started instead of going right where I went to. But we need to know how that woman can protect herself. The women suffer. You know that, Rowena. They suffer.
Correct. Well, in that particular instance you just gave, if the divorce is not final, child support, if you have minor children and you filed for a divorce, that's an issue that will be addressed automatically. The children will not be ignored if they're minors. So it would, go along with the order. So you would have your divorce complaint, you would have established in there the grounds. Maryland is a fault-based state, so you have to prove fault on the side of one party. So
if he's cheated, you find out about that. That's adultery.
Well, that's adultery, or cruelty of treatment is one. Excessively vicious conduct, insanity, incarceration. Those are all different grounds that you could say to the court, look, I need to get a divorce for this reason. There's also 2 other non-fault grounds, voluntary separation or 2-year separation.
Okay.
So you establish, on what basis you're asking for the divorce. Once you do that, you would also put in, any requests that you're asking for property. If you have children, that you're asking for child support, that you're asking for custody,
Right.
that you're asking for visitation. So those are all issues that would be addressed along with the divorce.
Can two people have an amicable agreement between them? They can sit down and write up what they want to do on paper without having a lawyer?
I don't
think it's wise
recommend
not to have
it.
a
I
lawyer.
don't recommend it, but people do it all the time. They craft their own separation agreement. If you have minor children involved, I strongly would not encourage that, because you need to look out for the best interests of the child, not best interests of mom or best interests of dad, but what is the best interest of this minor child or children. So when you do that, you're becoming the judge of how much money this child should get on a monthly basis, rather than allowing the court to decide that based on the Maryland child support guidelines.
Okay.
So I would suggest that's the best way to go, even if you don't hire an attorney, but make sure the child support is run through the Maryland guidelines. And so that way you know for sure that this child or the children will be getting the right amount of money to support them, until they're emancipated.
I've had more than a couple of people ask me, like, they're married and they sit down, like I just said, and did a little agreement. And he promises to pay the whole mortgage and she can live in the house.
Right.
He also promises to give, maybe there's 2 kids, let's go with 2, $100 a week, which is $400 a month. And puts it all in writing, but he can still default on that. Right?
Correct.
He can walk away, or she can walk out of it, or...
Correct, because it's not incorporated anywhere. It's an agreement between 2 parties. It's not legally binding.
Oh,
on
even
the
a
2
signature and
parties.
everything.
No, unless the only way that agreement would be legally binded is if it was incorporated into a divorce decree or something like that.
Okay.
But if it's just something you drew up, at the kitchen table, or you went online to one of these websites that tell you, do it yourself kind of website, and you just did it between yourselves, it's not legally binding.
It's not legally binding, so it's better to get someone who really knows what they're doing for your protection.
Correct, and get it notarized and incorporated into a divorce or into a custody proceeding or something like that.
But still, it's not an ironclad paper. Do you know that they can still take off? Meaning that even in the court, if they state you get $400 a month or $500 a month, he or she, whichever one has broken up the marriage, they can still take off and not pay nothing.
That is true. That is true, but
that's pretty cruddy.
That is pretty cruddy, and it happens all the time. But in that instance, you would still have the opportunity to file an action for contempt, because then you would have the official court order that says, this child or the children is awarded $400 on a monthly basis. So if they then stop making those payments, it's contempt.
Yeah, but I know a few ladies too, and I'm not going to mention any names, that the husband will come back for a little while and they'll have sex. And everything is rosy, rosy, and then all of a sudden, bingo, the following month you don't get your money.
Right. Well,
it's not good.
In that, what I would suggest, that's probably a case where child support is not going through the
court system?
Correct. It's not going through the court system. There's just an agreement. He or she is, transferring the money back and forth. There's no accounting. If there's a wage withholding order in place, that way there's an accounting system. The court knows how much money is going through Office of Child Support Enforcement. They can give an accountant, he is paid or she is paid this much on a monthly basis. Outside of that, there's no way of knowing, is mom paying child support, is dad paying child support? It's just going to be what each party says, well, yeah, I gave her this, or yeah, I gave him that. So I would also recommend that where child support is awarded, that there's some accounting. So either mom or dad is enrolling with the Office of Child Support Enforcement and opening up an account, or there's some type of wage withholding order in place.